Hello and welcome to the Real Life Alexa channel. My name is Alexa and this is Real Life. Today we are going to talk about something that was said to me a few years ago and that had really changed the way I speak to myself and think about the things that I think and say. I don't remember who said this to me, but we were talking about essentially just having thoughts you don't like when for example, let's say someone walks into the room and you're like, oh, why are they wearing that? And then you stop yourself and you go, who cares? They look fine, right? And this person said, your first thought isn't you, it's what you've been taught. Your second thought is who you are. Your first thought is not you, it's what you were taught. Your second thought is who you are. That was mind-blowing to me, that our brains, we live our lives almost entirely on autopilot. We don't consciously think about the things we do. Once we've learned to do certain things, we just do them. We don't necessarily think 100% of the time when we're cutting our steak up. We just do it. We can carry on conversations at the same time. When we take a drink, when we're typing something in a chat, we can be watching TV at the same time. Or there's just so many things we do on autopilot. And that's great. There's a reason that our brains have that function. And our reptilian brain, the amygdala, and I might misspeak some here because I'm definitely not a brain scientist. The amygdala is your fight or flight, your survival instinct. It's the thing that helps you run on autopilot as well. So that is there because it can react faster than our conscious brain. And when we have input come in through any one of our senses, it goes through the amygdala first before reaching I think it's the frontal lobe, which is our conscious brain, and where we actually make decisions that are what we want to actually make. And this was told to me like 5 years ago, and it's still blowing my mind today. It came up because I'm watching someone else, a few people, sort of come to this realization that there are things they instantly think, it's autopilot. They're not even thinking consciously. It just is a thought that occurs automatically. And they're finally realizing that they don't need to think that way. And then, even though I've been working on it myself, I still have those thoughts that I will catch myself having thoughts and be like, wait a minute, that's my autopilot. There's verbiage from my childhood that is not acceptable today. And it was fine. I mean, it was accepted when I was a child. It probably should have never been fine. There's words that people use today that I personally do not like because they are rooted in misogyny, and I don't believe in, for example, being called a female dog. The only reason that we're not calling a person a dog and calling them the B word, don't know about YouTube filters, the only reason is to call them a female one. And now you can get into arguments that, oh, female dogs are more vicious or this, that, and the other. But at the end of the day, it's not enough just to call someone a dog. You're going to call them a female one for whatever reason you think that that's worse. It's misogyny. It's misogyny, pure and simple. That word was used everywhere when I was a child. And I really am thinking about my time in England. And I have friends who still today use it, but they use it in, they claim, an empowering way, right? That they and their friends can call each other this, but other people can't call them it. That doesn't make sense to me either. So I try very hard not to use certain words. That's one of them. Others are certain words for stupid that did not start as the term just stupid. And once I learned the history of where they came from in terms of essentially people with disabilities, I won't use them when I choose my words. Every so often, there will be this bombshell video of some Hollywood star who was drunk and in a stressful situation, and all of a sudden the language coming out of their mouth is nothing you would ever have expected them to use. It's the kind of language that would have been used everywhere when they were a kid. And after the fact, they always come out and say, this isn't me. I don't even know why I said those things. I never used that word in my daily life. I don't know where it came from. It came from your autopilot. That is how deeply entrenched the things we learn as children is into our brains, that after 40, 50 years of consciously changing and choosing our own language carefully and growing and evolving, that a very stressful situation that can lower your inhibitions and stop your amygdala hijack, your amygdala takes over, it hijacks your brain, that language, that old language from your childhood will come out. It's a bit worrying, to think that any one of us, because if you think this isn't going to happen to you, you're probably more likely for it to happen, as with many things, as we are. The more likely you are to think that you could never, ever do something questionably ethical, right? The more likely you are to fall into a trap. The more likely, when you don't think you could be conned or deceived, the more likely you are to be conned or deceived. It's because you've already told yourself that it can't happen to you. So when it's happening to you, your brain is saying, no, it can't happen to me. So that's not what's happening here. And that's how powerful our minds are. That you don't even know your brain is doing that to you, but that's what it's doing. And I think a lot about how hard so many of us have fought to evolve and to grow and to be better, and how little we as a whole understand how our brains work and how easily it is for that hijack to occur. So this came up today because I was talking with someone, and again, watching some other people go through things. They're really thinking about their self-image, and that's where it comes up right now. But examples of that are when someone gives you a compliment, you immediately say, no, that's not me. Oh, no. Why? Because you were taught not to take a compliment, because you were taught that you were a terrible person or not lovable or whatever as a child. I know for me, I was never the one. It was always, oh, well, your friend so-and-so has better looks, so she'd be a better dancer. Or, oh, well, your sisters are smarter, so they got into this school, but this other school will be good for you. Or, it's a lovely pair of boots, but maybe not on your legs. Or, just that kind of nonsense. And so when you find yourself and recognize that your autopilot has said something, you can stop it and change it. And the thing that has helped me the most with this has been the pause. And the pause is the conscious moment you take to let your first thought run through your brain, and for your conscious brain to receive the information and make up its own mind. You might take a breath, you might, take a couple, but to consciously wait and to even challenge yourself, was that my first thought do I really believe that? That is going to be all of our best weapon in defeating that negative self-talk, that taught language, that taught behavior that we aren't comfortable with anymore, that we don't want to be. That's not who we are. And yeah, it's just, like I said, still mind-blowing to me 5 years later since that was told to me. Your first thought isn't who you are, it's your autopilot, it's what you were taught. And your second thought, it's who you are. Yeah. Well, that is all for today. So if you made it this far, I want to thank you. Please drop a like, subscribe, share, leave a comment, be nice. And hopefully this phrase can help others as much as it has helped me. It's very powerful, in my opinion. Obviously, my opinion, I'm the one saying it. All right. Well, thank you again. And as always, be kind to yourself.